of each item, the forum will hear questions submitted. When submitting your question, please leave your name and the agenda item or subject matter that your question relates to. Only questions relating to items on the agenda will be accepted. You can find the agenda available to download underneath the webcast. The clerk tonight is Natasha Matthews, who questions can be submitted to from the public. Right, have we, any apologies, Natasha?
Yes, we've got apologies from Councillor Warrington, Councillor Martin, Councillor Ritchie and Councillor Gwynn.
Right, thank you. Minutes of the last meeting, if somebody'd like to move them.
Move them, Chair.
Right, thank you. Item 3, the caddy liners. I believe that's you, Emma, doing this presentation.
It is, Chair. Thank you very much. If you don't mind, I'm going to just share my screen. Thank you. I hope you can see that.
Yeah, we can see that. Thanks, Emma.
Thanks so much. Okay, so I'll just give you a bit of background. So we currently supply free compostable caddy liners on request to help our food waste and green recycling. And we initially introduced these to encourage residents to get into the practice of composting their food waste and lining their plastic so kitchen caddies before putting their food waste into their brown bin. And the practice of recycling is now well established. And although we have provided these, they're not really required for the process of recycling. So, and we don't have a statutory responsibility to provide them. The most eco, net zero, bio, eco way of composting is just to put your food waste, as you did in old days, straight into your caddy, your carrier, and then pop it straight into your brown bin. And we'd like to avoid putting any more material in with that that food waste, which naturally composts down. So we're proposing not to supply free caddy liners from the 1st of July. This is going to help us avoid unnecessary waste. It will save us money, and it ensures also, in terms of our commitment for our environment and our for the climate emergency, that we're not adding in additional an additional carbon footprint, both in terms of the caddy liner production and transport to us, and then transport and distribution out to our residents. So households, we are strongly encouraged to recycle their food straight in to that kitchen caddy. It's got a handy handle on it, and then go straight into your brown bin. We are saying we'd ideally like you to do that. If you feel that you can't transition that quickly, you can still buy the recyclable caddy liners at most of your supermarkets. And just as you would buy your own swing bin liners, your own flash, your own, you know, fairy, you can pick those up in every supermarket. And so if you can't, if you feel you're not able to go to that stage yet, but that absolutely the best way to do it is just to have your food going straight into your kitchen caddy and straight into your brown bin. We're asking, please don't use newspaper or the recyclable carry bags you get from other supermarkets, or for instance, a kitchen towel, because those do take a really long time to decompost and they will contaminate our lovely recycling loads. We've recently, you might have seen in the Tameside Correspondent, got the best improved recycling council in GM, and we're really proud of that because our residents are really on their recycling. So this is a great step. It avoids us spending money and resources that we don't need to, and putting in bio waste into the system that we don't need to do. So I will stop there. And here are, you'll see some of these kind of Twitter straps coming. If anybody wants any help or advice, obviously do contact our contact centre and we'll get our waste services to contact people. But this is really the most eco eco way for us to start recycling, and we really look forward to your support. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Emma. Can I just ask before anybody else comes in, I know a lot of people don't follow Facebook and they don't do Twitter.
Yeah.
So are we getting the message out? Are we getting the message out to them who don't do social media?
No, exactly. So we will be sending the message out via our libraries, by our press as well, where we can, by our community groups as well. So we know that we're going to have a lot of our, elderly residents need to know in lots of different ways. So we're going to make sure that goes out to community groups as well, and connect with our third sector colleagues as well.
Thank you, Emma. Anybody got any questions, Natasha? Any hands up?
It's got Councillor Newton with his hand up.
Right.
Can I just say Councillor Ward is trying to get in this year? She's in the waiting room.
Yeah, we'll add her in.
Hi, I've only got a quick question around, I think Sue touched on it really, around the communications for this. Whether there's been any real focus more on the carbon savings and the analysis there, whether we can present that more rather than go down the saving money kind of route, just because, I don't know, I think it's a stronger argument really. Like you say, I hadn't appreciated, the actual having to go carry this stuff around, get them delivered and all that kind of stuff. There's got to be a message there to get out, surely.
Yes, there is, and you're absolutely right, Councillor Newton. And we've had that advice, and we've adjusted our comms accordingly. Honestly, so absolutely, we'll try and get some more figures for you on that, and I'll introduce those in. But I really appreciate that point, and it is a very strong point, really, in terms of, I think we've evolved, haven't we? And actually, some of the more old-fashioned ways of doing recycling, which were very much part of our community, are actually the best, as it were, in composting our food. So though it absolutely saves, and all of that carbon footprint, unnecessary vehicle miles to transport, and the production of these caddy liners have their cost on our environment. So thank you for that.
Great, thanks.
Thank you, dear. Natasha, any more?
I can't see anyone else's hand raised at the minute.
Right. Thank you for that report, Emma. I believe you're doing the next one as well, the Household Support Fund.
Yes, thank you. I try and make sure I've sharing the next one. Hang on a second. Okay, sorry. Yeah. Excuse me while I try and do it. Oh gosh. Sorry, it's not playing ball, as it were. Right. Should be there. Okay, thank you very much. I'll go from the beginning. So I just want to give you an update on the Household Support Fund. This is very important in terms of our support for our most vulnerable families. It's a funding that we have had from the government, and we've had rounds 1 to 3, and these have been supporting, used to support families and children eligible for free school meals. Vouchers were provided by the schools and to all eligible families to cover some of the holiday period in the form of supermarket vouchers. And following the guidance set by the Department of Work and Pensions, an application-based scheme was available for low-income families to help with things like essentials, food, energy, but also things like white goods where they did not have any, say, a fridge or even a mattress for a child. So we have dispersed 3 rounds, and we have now received acknowledgement of the 4th round, which is now for 12 months, which is much better. We only recently got the standards or the actual understanding of how much we could spend and how we could spend it. So we've brought that through to our governance, and we now have plans to roll that out. So the funding for a 12-month period has been confirmed, and we're planning to again support our most vulnerable families, and 70% of that funding will be eligible for free for families who have free school meals. 27% of it is allocated to residents who are not directly in receipt of cost of living payments, and accessed via and they will be able to access that via navigators. So we've listened to councillors and we listened to our residents who said they really want to be able to ensure that our most vulnerable families can access all the benefits they deserve and are able to get hold of the money that will really support them. So we've changed the way that we are working in our customer services, welfare rights and debt advice. And the household support team will work in conjunction with them so that we're able to give families all the advice and signpost them to the benefits they can claim. So we'll be communicating with families with school-aged children, and they will receive those vouchers directly from the schools. We're also going to be communicating with older people who are in receipt of council tax support, and they'll be contacted directly, but we'll also be contacting our colleagues in the third sector, the Aged UK, and through our community networks and the carers team. There'll be outreach and drop-in sessions in planned community venues out in the different areas of our borough, and we can also use our existing channels of welfare rights and citizen advice and our libraries and helping hands. So essentially what we want to do is reach all the people who really need the support, and we will be rolling the funding out in 4 tranches to ensure that we spread out the funding right through the year, especially into the near Christmas period, which is particularly difficult. So the contact information is here, and we will obviously make this available to you so that you can forward it to your residents, and residents will be able to book appointments by phone or online, and also come in to see the customer service navigators. It's always great if people can phone ahead so we can tell them all the documentation they're going to need. That means they have a wasted journey, and if somebody hasn't got transport, that we'll be able to meet them in a community building of their choice and at their convenience without them having to pay money out on the bus fare, which is hard to get together. So I'll stop sharing. I'm really happy to take any questions.
Right, thank you for that report, Emma. Have we got any questions for Emma?
There's no hands raised at the moment. There's no questions from the public either, so.
Right, well, thank you for that report,
can I
Emma.
just
It's,
say something?
oh, go on, Anne.
People who are housebound or don't have communications with other people, how are they going to get information? Because there are older people especially who don't do the internet, don't know who to phone, and don't come in contact with other people to find out how they go about getting this funding.
I understand, Councillor Holland. Many of our older residents will be written to if they are in receipt of the benefit. Also, we're really happy to take any appointments that from community centres or carers that they might know somebody who would benefit from it. So we'd be really happy to have that sign posted in, and we can make a visit to those older people at their home if we need to. And I understand lots of older people aren't on the internet, and it's very important they are able to access, and we can take them through that process.
Right, thank you, Emma. Any more questions? I gather that's a no. Right, thank you for that report, Emma. Keep up the good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Lovely to see you. Thanks so
Yeah,
much.
bye.
Bye-bye.
Right, we can go to item 5, the fostering. We can go over to Deborah.
Hi, thank you very much indeed. I'm Deborah Smolker-O'Brien and I'm one of the team managers in fostering service. And I'm just going to share my screen and a presentation. Thank you. Okay. Bear with me. Is everyone able to see the screen?
Yeah, we can see that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay. So just to start, what is fostering? We have many children who are in foster care in Tameside, and our foster carers are made up of mainstream foster carers as well as kinship foster carers, and our foster carers offer children a stable and caring environment, and they also provide the opportunity for children to have contact family time with brothers and sisters and parents, and other connected persons within their family. Our foster carers also support children in order to make their very best opportunities within their education. So our foster carers will support children from nursery age all the way up, and often in terms of children that stay with their foster carers under a staying put arrangement into that college, university environment. And our foster carers have really high aspirations for our cared for children and want them to achieve their very best outcomes. Also, our foster carers are absolutely critical in terms of working in a team around the child. So they will attend many meetings, such as school meetings around education, cared for children's reviews, family time contact reviews, and anything that is critical and crucial for that child's development and well-being. And our foster carers are really very well trained and well supported. So we offer a platform of in-person training as well as online learning and development. And we have a range of support groups that our foster carers attend, from support groups to look at things like early years to disability, and also more recently a male carers support group, in recognition that the needs for a lot of our male foster carers may have been met historically. Just moving on around who can foster, we often get asked a lot of questions at that initial inquiry stage about whether I can do it, and there is no upper age limit for fostering. We love our foster carers to come to us from all backgrounds, married, cohabiting, gay, straight, single. We do like our foster carers to be able to access education locally, and for that reason it's really good when our foster carers come to us from that Tameside area, because it's really crucial that we support those links, ongoing links with children's family and their schools, and their educational aspiration is really important to support that locally. We do need our foster carers to be able to say they have a spare bedroom that can be used for children who need a foster placement. That's really important, that we're able to maintain that privacy and space for children. But for some of our foster carers, they don't have a spare room, but they're able to support us by offering a baby placement for a 0 to 2-year-old. And again, that's a really valuable resource for us in Tameside. It's also really important, we really welcome our foster carers to come from a range of religious and ethnic backgrounds, and this really does support us to be able to keep care plans as we would like them to be for children. we do try and offer a really high platform of support for foster carers. And I've mentioned training and support groups, but also it's really important to say that our foster carers have access to their own social worker, someone called a supervising social worker, and also family intervention workers and other support staff that can help foster carers to learn and upskill in new areas. We have, and we are developing, a foster care association. We have a buddying scheme, which is really successful when we bring new foster carers on board and we link them in with experienced foster carers. We also link really closely with our cared for colleagues, and that's things like supporting children with therapeutic needs. So we link very carefully with our CAMHS colleagues, child adolescent mental health, and we provide additional packages of support to foster carers that are supporting children that are struggling in terms of their emotional health needs. And of course, our foster carers have access to the fostering platform of allowances and fees, so as they're able to provide children that they're caring for with everything that they're going to need. We actually, at the moment, and that's one of the reasons we've come back to deliver a presentation again, we know that we have a sufficiency issue for our foster carers in Tameside, and what we know is that there is a national shortage of foster carers, and that's, you know, something that we feel particularly acutely within the fostering service at the moment, when we know that children are going to need to be received into a care placement, and we want to match that children's needs with the very best carer that we can get for them. So we're always looking for foster carers from birth all the way up to 18 years of age. And we're looking for carers who can look after one child or sibling groups of brothers and sisters. We are always looking for people that can care for children over 5 years of age, particularly teenagers, and we do support our foster carers to develop their skills in working with teens and more complex teenage issues. We have children who need support in terms of a family from their own ethnic background, and that's something that's really important to us as well. And we also need foster carers that can help us in an emergency situation, as well as foster carers who can join us and look after children in the long term, when we know that children will not be going home, and we're looking at something for months and into years for children, so as we can keep that consistency and continuity of care for them. How you can help spreading the word, and word of the mouth is the absolute biggest help that we have, but also liking any of the social media posts, some of the Facebook posts more recently around Foster Care Fortnight, you know, getting the word out there in absolutely any way we possibly can, and sharing our marketing materials is a really huge help to us at the moment. And I just want to talk a little bit about Fostering Unfiltered, because this is a new campaign that we're involved with. And this is a campaign with the Manchester Combined Authority. And we've been working on this for about the last 18 months. And what we're looking at is research around what we know motivates people to decide to come into fostering, and to give it a go and decide it's the right time for them and their family. And we're doing the Unfiltered campaign is really about offering out real life stories about what it's like to foster. And one of the slides here says it's never perfect, it's always worth it. And the foster carers I speak to every day really do echo that, in terms of it is a challenging role, but it's a wonderful role as well. We've done a lot of activity for Foster Care Fortnight, which was last month. So we've had our ad van campaign, and we've also had 2 park run events where we overtook the park runs at Hyde Park and Stamford Park. And we're always doing activity to get the word out there for fostering, and to try and attract people to come and join us and express an interest in fostering. Once they've done that, we very quickly get them onto a Skills to Foster programme and assign them a supervising social worker to run through what fostering is like in their assessment. Something that is new from the last time I came and delivered a presentation is that we've created a role for 6 foster carers to become ambassadors. So we've got now 6 foster carers that help us by visiting community venues and sharing the word, and they are the best source of promotion because they can tell people what it's like. But they're going into supermarkets, and they're also going to be supporting us later on in the summer with doing some family fun events for children in the 4 family hubs. So we're pulling together a timetable for that, which we'll be able to share. And just my last couple of slides is around some new work within fostering. And we've reinvigorated a policy called Staying Put. And this is because we recognise for many of our children as they approach 18, they've been with their foster carers for some time and they're not ready to move on. And they shouldn't move on until they are ready. So we're doing a lot of work with our existing foster carers in terms of transition and early planning for 18-year-olds, and looking at that support plan and package of benefits for our foster carers to hold on to that young person until they are ready to move on at a later time. And that's, you know, that's really important for us to maintain those crucial links with foster carers and children residing, living together, and children still having that benefit of family life with their carer. And my final slide is just to talk a little bit about supported lodgings. And this is something that is a new area of work into fostering and something we're looking at the moment. And it's in recognition that we have a number of really vulnerable children who are between the ages of 16 and 21. They might not need a foster placement, but they need somewhere that is a supported home. So we're doing quite a bit of work at the moment around how we can promote supported lodgings and support supported lodgings providers with our 16 to 21-year-olds that need that a little bit of extra support before they would be ready to move into independence. So those are all of my slides. Just thank you very, very much, and I'm happy to answer any questions that I can.
Right, thank you for that report, Deborah. Said it's very important that we get the message out there, because surely there's families out there who've got a spare bedroom who could take somebody on. So
yes,
hopefully,
yes,
if we all get that message out there, hopefully we can get them into some nice homes, you know, living with families. So have we got any questions, Natasha?
No, I can't see anybody's hand. Oh, Councillor Cooney's got his hand raised, and Councillor
Right.
Mills as well.
Just a quick one, Sue. I was at a meeting with some inspectors, and Tony's on here. I don't know whether he's still on here. I know he was on it earlier, Tony. And the other week, what he said was we had a 6-week-old baby. We couldn't find a placement.
Yes, Councillor.
Normally that would have been an easier one to get a placement.
Absolutely, Councillor Cooney. What we've seen in the last...
It shows you there is a real strong...
It does. I'm sorry, my sound just cut out. I apologise. It is for the very first time, and I've been in fostering now for about 4.5 years. And for the very first time, we found ourselves in a position whereby we actually, all of our baby placements had been used. So this is, last time I think I spoke to councillors, we had better sufficiency of foster placements than we do currently. And there's often a number of reasons for that. We do have a number of foster carers this year who have decided that they're going to retire. And we've seen that some of our foster carers who've been really experienced and with us for many, many years, some of them for over 30 years, have made that difficult decision to retire. And it does change what we're able to offer. I think that the point about baby placements is a very real issue, because this is the first time that I've spoke to you about the sufficiency, not just for older children, but also for babies. So we really have got a real need across the board in fostering to have more placements. Now, we've got really creative solutions around supporting foster carers that might be experienced with younger children to consider older children, and we've got really creative support and solutions to support foster carers who maybe haven't taken a baby for some while to consider taking a baby now. But inevitably, we always need to promote fostering, and we need new foster carers, and that's why these presentations and getting the word out is just so important.
Thank you for that. Did you say we've got another? Somebody else wants to ask?
Tony de Crop's got his hand up. I don't know if he wants to add anything in.
I'm happy to come after Councillor Mills, if that's okay, Chair.
Yeah,
that's
Councillor Mills
fine.
as well, yeah.
Yeah, Councillor Mills.
Thank you, and thank you for the presentation, Deborah. I just want to pick up on the supported lodgings bit at the end there, because I actually did supported lodgings with the council a few years ago, so I can speak from experience. The reason I had to stop doing it was because of the more challenging needs of the children that were in that supported lodgings area. So what additional support over the last, say, 5 to 10 years have we been offering to the people that were offering the supported lodgings places, please?
Councillor Mills, I can tell you that supported lodgings moving into fostering is a very, very new initiative, and I'm sure Tony can come in on that. So what we're looking at the moment is the opportunities of support within fostering and the degree and the levels of high support that we can provide to foster carers and carers that offer staying put. And actually, the view is that we've got the support and the skills within the fostering service to consider what is needed to make supported lodgings what it needs to be, and get the support right. And the work that we're looking at is things like access to the same level of support and training and support groups that would be available for mainstream foster carers, because we do have a high platform of learning and support resource available. So it is about freeing that capacity up, not just for our foster carers and our staying put carers, but also in terms of us promoting supported lodgings as an option for people as well. And I've mentioned that we've had a number of foster carers make a decision to retire recently, but we've also had a number talk to us about, it's time to retire from fostering, but I've still got something left in the tank that I want to give. So it's about being able to have those creative discussions around how we can utilise that existing skill and look at our supported lodgings offer. But I must say, we're very much in the infancy of developing that within the service, but it's a really exciting time for us in terms of doing that.
Thank you. Tony, did you want to come in?
Yes, please, Chair. Just a couple of things on the bit about sort of foster care and sort of recruitment and retention of foster carers. I think whilst there's really tremendous work which Deborah's shown you, that's and the campaigns, both sort of as a council, but also is a Greater Manchester effort as well. It's still not quite enough, really, and because of the demographics of our foster care population, we're just about treading water, because we lose as many as we recruit. So we probably, and I will probably be coming back through the appropriate channels to look at other ways how we can recruit and incentivise. So I know some local authorities do things around council tax reductions. Some do other types of schemes, to really incentivise to become a foster carer. So we've just got to keep pace with that. And there's also a whole lot of stuff around about how we support and our carers, because I'll touch on what Councillor Mills said, but you know, some of our children are becoming more complex as they enter into the cared for system. We know that schools say it. You hear it on the news every day, in terms of some of the complexities, some of the sort of impact of what COVID did, and we're seeing that as children are coming into the system. And also, you know, one of the biggest sort of demands on our external residential is actually foster care placements breaking down, and then children coming into the residential system. So we are also looking with colleagues at different models of how we can support foster carers, something like, say, the Mockingbird model. Also looking at how we train our foster carers to be therapeutic foster carers. That will take some time, but that's what we're going in, because we've got to build resilience amongst our foster carers as well, because then they're worth investing it. Just on the issue of supported lodgings, I'd have to say probably it's fallen a bit by the wayside in Tameside. And I think the supported lodging service was within the leaving care service, and we've made a strategic decision to put that within the fostering service, where they're much better at providing support to carers. We've got quite a bit of work to do there in terms to recruit supported lodgers, but we can also be quite creative in terms of those people that come forward to be foster carers, but perhaps, you know, don't like the idea of all the regulation or the assessment and that. It's a different process for supported lodging providers. So there's ways we do that, and we have got high demand on 16-17-year-olds and above in terms of placement, so the needs there. So again, we have to learn from other local authorities and how they've been successful. But to answer your question about the support, that was part of the strategic aim, really, is to bring it into fostering, because they are best at supporting foster carers. From what I know, it wasn't quite right how it sat in the leaving care service. So, but the other side to that is we'll be putting more support to support 16-17-year-olds in the care system, in terms of and as they go in a transition into adulthood, as we're investing into our leaving care service at this moment, currently in a consultation, but we're increasing things like personal advisors, management oversight. So hopefully, again, and I know Deborah's very linked into some of that work. So I think, you know, we've really got some good opportunities there as well, but we're going to have to reset our supported lodgings and reinvigorate it. Thank you, Chair.
Right, thank you, Tony. Well, thank you for that report, Deborah. I look forward to you coming back to a future meeting with an update and some positive and very good news for us. So thank you. Is there any other questions, Natasha, before Deborah goes, and Tony?
No, not that I can see, no.
Right, well, thank you very much for coming along.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Right, have we got Jane and Matthew? Have we got Jane and Matthew, or just
yes,
Jane?
I'm here, Chair. Apologies for lateness.
No, you're fine. Right, so over to you then, Jane.
I think it's Matthew's. Matthew's the manager for Shift, so he certainly knows much more about it than I do.
So it's Matthew then, right?
Yeah, Matthew's there.
Right.
Thanks, everyone. Can everyone see the presentation?
Yeah, we've got it, Matthew.
Great. I'm just turning that in. Okay, so thanks, everybody, and thanks for this opportunity to come and present our information in terms of what the Shift project is and what we're doing within your area. So I'm going to go through a little bit about the GM Greater Manchester Adolescent Safeguarding Framework and the sort of purposes of that, which then would give you a bit of an idea as to why the idea of Shift has come about, the innovative service, a little bit about us, who's working, and in terms of our contacts. So as Tony rightly said there, our sort of young people, our adolescents, the issues are becoming more and more complex. You know, you'd say the birth of social media, you would say the sort of, you know, the availability of more substances, and there's a lot of other sort of issues that are creating gaps in the work we're completing, and we're working with our adolescents. The extrafamilial harm is a term that you will hear, and that is basically all the sort of issues that can harm a young person outside of the family home in terms of gangs, antisocial behaviour, sexual exploitation, etc. Greater Manchester has reacted to this, implementing the safeguarding framework, because as we know, we'll have a 16-year-old that could be placed on a child protection plan. However, that wouldn't be appropriate, and we need to work in the ways of changing these plans and supporting these young people better. So through the Greater Manchester Adolescent Safeguarding Framework, it's easy for me to say, they have many principles, and basically what it is adolescents, how do we work with them? How do we tailor the work? How do we specialize the work? How do we move with the times? How do we look at what is out there in the environment, and what is it actually that the young people want? So I was at a meeting recently and was fortunate enough to talk to some of the lots of big managers, head of services and things like that, and all are very encouraged by the initial processes and initial sort of experiences of what's happening in terms of the Greater Manchester Combined Authority framework. Now, Shift is a partnership between the Shift organisation, Shift National, and ourselves here at Tameside. I'm seconded into post. I was formerly a child protection team manager, and I covered the Hyde and South area, but obviously I was in Tameside for 4 years prior to taking on this role. I took on this role because it was very, very exciting. It was very innovative. And what we're trying to do is break the cycles of harm. As I say, we're among our colleagues within the Youth Justice Service in Tameside, and we're based in Ashton. But we sat alongside very many different services within Tameside, which is quite exceptional for a service such as this, which you'd almost sort of see as a tokenistic service on the side. We're actually inside. And the part of the purpose, part of the strategic ambition is to systematically change what's going on. We at Shift do have what would be called a sort of lower caseload, and we'll go into that, but we work up to 25 years old, and we look to break the cycle by looking through the lens of that young person and looking for the hook. Some anecdotal evidence at the minute. I'm taking a young person kickboxing, but what I'm trying to do is allow him that space, the freedom to gain that trust with myself, and to encourage him to maintain his education. He was out of education for 6 months, only at 14 years old. So in ways of managing that, but in ways of him being able to talk to me about the issues in the area, as we're fully aware there is community harm that's occurring, and we need to work with our young people within their own settings. So Shift National, like I said, we were very fortunate in Tameside, and you could almost call it a pilot. They have 2 projects, one in Greenwich, in Bexley, one in Greenwich and one in Bexley, sorry, and the headquarters is in the Coram building, which is just off King's Cross, I believe. Myself and the head of service got lost last time we went there, found out you didn't need to get 2 underground tubes to get to the place, but anyway, that's the north and the south divide. We were very fortunate. Both of these projects supported us, and we do have a lot of oversight from Shift National, from the benefactors, and they offer support. We had a week's induction, which is unheard of, certainly in my field of work. But we were very thankful, and we work closely with our PRUs, Anthony Benedict, and we were working towards a trauma-informed way, which I'll come on to a little bit later. So at the minute, there's myself as the lead guide. We have 4 guides then in Eva, Louisa, Robin and Stephen. 3 of those were seconded from Tameside and 1 has opted to join, who has a wealth of experience from Manchester Youth Justice. So as you can imagine, that experience is extremely worthwhile. Myself and Sally Dickin, who was head of service, and now we have Jane. We sort of went through a lot of team meetings. We went to present a lot of this information, and we were really quite chuffed in the fact that we had 116 young people requested for consideration to the Shift project, which, as you can imagine, is an excellent number. We whittled that down and had to whittle that down through lots of different information. How many adverse childhood experiences, what was their contact with youth justice, what position, where would they sat amongst child protection. So, you know, it was quite a large scoping exercise, and we got it down to the 27. That's just a little bit of what I've sort of been saying. And the 27 children that we have at the minute are children who have extreme complex needs, who have experienced quite a lot of trauma in their young lives. And this is something that, again, systematically we need to change. We forget about the trauma that these young people have suffered, and we often vilify them. Media will vilify them. You know, other establishments can you know, call these out. They think they're antisocial behaviour and all this stuff. What we try to do is to get the core of it. Why are they doing this? Why are they out of the family home? Why do they need to associate with these young people? What is going on for them? We try to get to the bottom of that. The adverse childhood experiences, as we know, you know, all research will tell you that the people in sort of prisons or in sort of young offender institutes and things like that will all have a number of adverse childhood experiences. We will only get to the bottom of what's happening for these young people through trust, and that's why we're establishing the engagement at the minute. It's difficult. These young people can be chaotic, but again, what we're fortunate enough to have is that capacity to do what we're doing. It's, again, very innovative. It seems quite common sense, but in today's world, with sort of austerity and things, those things don't sort of happen. We have 14 that are really well engaged at the minute. 6 tentatively engaging, will sort of call at crisis point and things like that, and 5 whereby we are trying to engage in a different way. These young people are very much used to seeing somebody once a month, maybe, and if they reject them, the focus may go away. We're going to get down, we're going to dig down, we're going to meet with the parents, we meet with the parents, we'll take the parents out for coffee to establish those relationships, because at the end of the day, if the parents are well informed, it might ease that pressure if something should happen. And I know, you know, the talk of the fostering, and Deborah was talking about that. Part of the rationale is that we have a lot of young people who are on the cusp or the edge of care because of these associations, because of what they bring into the home. We're going to try and break that cycle for them, which then will prevent them coming into a care system where maybe their opportunities may be limited. There's just a little bit of our contact details. Please write my contact email down while it's there. As we say, we're really trying to get the name of Shift out. We really want to base ourselves in all your localities. I really want to know from yourselves what the pressure points are, where the issues are, any inside knowledge you have, because you guys will be the experts in your area. And you know, and I welcome any conversations of the young people that we're working with. Jane, I believe that's it. Have you got anything else you'd like to add?
No, I think you've said it all very well. Thanks ever so much, Matthew. Any questions at all?
Thanks, everyone, and thanks for your time.
Yeah, thank you for that report, Matthew. It's
Can I speak?
it's very. Anne, can you just wait a minute, please?
Yeah.
Thank you for that report. It's an excellent report. But we'll take some questions now. Anne?
Yeah, I mean, it was a very good report, but I'd like somebody to actually tell me what shift means. Because
sorry to interrupt you, Councillor
I
Holland.
know it's an abbreviation. What can you tell me exactly what each letter means?
Shift isn't an abbreviation. Shift is a title, a standalone title, and it's shifting the difference. It's making the difference. I think they thought of the name well after they thought of the work. So yeah, it's not an abbreviation.
You see, we get so many things in the council where they give you a few letters and you don't know what they mean, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I wondered if they did mean anything.
No, I was going to make something up for you, but no, it's not.
Thank you.
No problem.
Natasha, have we got any other questions?
Not that
Matthew?
no one's got their hands up at the moment. Yeah, no, nobody.
Nobody?
No.
Right, well, thank you, Matthew and Jane, for that report. I look forward to you coming back in the future.
Definitely.
Thanks very much.
And please message us with anything you think you'd like to find out. And we'll look
Thanks for
forward
that,
to
Matthew.
No,
Jane.
thanks
We
so
will
much,
do.
everybody. Thanks for the welcome.
very much.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you. Right, the date of the next meeting is the 12th of October. If anybody's got anything that they would like going on the agenda, if you can email Carolyn, and we can see if we can arrange to get somebody to come along. But thank you all for attending this evening, and enjoy the rest of the evening.
Thank you
Thanks
very
a
much.
lot, Sue. See you all.